Hey everyone, Sky here to discuss Elysium, starring Matt Damon, Jodie Foster, Charlton Copley, Alice Braga, Diego Luna, and William Fichtner, and directed by Neil Blomkamp. Now, I do remember going to see this in the IMAX theaters when it was playing in there, back when it came out in theaters. And what did I think of it then? Let's get into it. On a trashing, futuristic, overpopulated Earth, where the wealthy people get out of the unwealthy Earth to go to a fancy place called Elysium. Then we meet a young Max and a young Frey who wonders what it's like on Elysium and wants to go there someday, but they can't for being unwealthy. It is the year 2154 in Los Angeles, and as an adult, Max, played by Matt Damon, goes to work at a factory until he gets whacked by a robot policeman and his arm is broken, and makes a visit to the hospital, and he sees adult Frey, played by Alice Braga, who's a nurse. Then he goes to the police station to talk to a robot officer about his broken arm, and I'm liking all this, but I don't feel it's as good as District 9, where I'm connecting with those characters. But here, I like Max, but he's the only person I can relate to with because he's Matt Damon. We meet the Delacorte of Elysium, played by Jodie Foster, whom I've not seen in a movie after this for years. And no, I did not see her directorial debut of The Beaver, because that thing looked fucking weird, by the way. As we see people from Earth getting shot down in a ship by Kruger, played by Charlton Copley, being commanded by the Delacorte, and Kruger is a sadistic as a villain, and I sort of like him. I do like how Charlton Copley plays him, but I don't like the Delacorte but I do like Jodie Foster in general. But her best role, in my opinion, is Clarice Starling in Silence of the Lambs. May I just say, Elysium, the planet, looks beautiful. I love the way these scenes look as a production, and the way it's shot is tremendous. And I've got to give kudos to the production designer, Philip Ivey, and the cinematographer, Trent Opalock, for making that planet look drop-dead gorgeous. Max gets into an accident at the factory and is pulled out of service by his boss, John Carlyle, played by William Fichtner. And Max gets getting sick after the accident, and Matt Damon pulls those scenes off pretty damn good. We see a friend of Max named Julio, played by Diego Luna, trying to help cure him by putting on a machine for a gangster who owns a club named Spider, who Max tells wants to go to Elysium illegally to get better, and as a plot, it's interesting at best. Not quite as good as District 9 in my opinion, but it's still a good plot. Max and the gang shoot to follow Mr. Carlyle's plane to Elysium, and Delacorte alerts Kruger to stop the gang from getting to Elysium, and the robot cops come in to stop the gang. Max breaks the head of the robot cop, and the action was pretty good. Kruger comes in to kill the gang, including Max, but doesn't kill Max, but he kills the gang members. And Max escapes, and it's working quite well, these action scenes. Max is a fugitive and goes to Frey and fixes the stab Kruger gave him earlier in the fight scene. And honestly, I don't quite believe Alice Braga as a nurse, nor did I buy her as a badass in Predators. Meanwhile, Kruger does find him and loses him, and who does he go to? Frey. So he kidnaps Frey and her daughter, which was a bit cliche. After taken, Max goes back to Spider and wants to go back to finding a way to get to Elysium. Then Max gets Kruger's attention and comes aboard their ship, and Kruger takes Max there, and as they get there, and because Kruger's two pilots are so fucking stupid, they crash on Elysium, and Frey gets out of and cures her daughter, but Frey gets stunned and Max gets captured, and Spider and the gangsters get to Elysium, and Kruger is wounded, and the movie begins to sour on me at this point. Kruger is awake, and Max fights to get the girls and out of there, and Kruger kills Delacourt and blows up Elysium's control room, excuse me. As Max goes to after Frey, her daughter, and fights Kruger and his two dumbass henchmen, and blows them all the fuck up, and Max sacrifices himself, and Frey's daughter is saved and cured as Elysium is now legal to open for the public. And this climax was sour, but it was pretty to look at for Elysium reasons. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 6.9 out of 10. Not quite as good as District 9, but it was pretty to look at times. And I did like Matt Damon as Charlton Copley's characters better than others, and I admire the production design and cinematography, but the climax was when the movie was beginning to sour for me. So I wouldn't say it as great as District 9, but a good movie in my opinion. So I'm a little worried about next week as far as I'm concerned, and I will talk to you about it next week with Chappie, and until next time, Matt Damon.